Welcome back to Edutube. Science is simple. Today, we're going to explore the structure and function of the respiratory system. But before we dive in, let's clear up two similar-sounding terms. Cellular respiration happens inside cells. It's the process by which cells break down glucose to release energy, producing carbon dioxide and water as byproducts. The respiratory system, on the other hand, is responsible for gas exchange. It brings oxygen into the body and removes carbon dioxide. Let's start with something simple. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Great! You've just used your respiratory system. When you breathe in or inhale, air enters through your nose or mouth. The nasal cavity warms the air, adds moisture, and filters out dust and bacteria. It contains nose hairs and tiny hair-like structures called cilia, which help trap dirt and particles. Next, the air travels through the pharynx, a passage shared by both air and food. From there, it passes through the larynx, also known as the voice box, which contains your vocal cords. Then it moves into the trachea, or windpipe. By the way, food should go down the esophagus, not the trachea. That's why, when you swallow, a flap called the epiglottis closes over the trachea to prevent food from entering the airway. The trachea is a strong tube held open by rings of cartilage, which ensure it stays open all the time, whether you're sleeping, running, or even bending your neck. At the end of the trachea, the air splits into two bronchi, one for each lung. These bronchi branch into smaller tubes called bronchioles. This branching structure looks like an upside-down tree. The branches get thinner, but the total cross-sectional area becomes larger. At the very end of these branches are tiny air sacs called alveoli, which resemble bunches of grapes. Did you know your respiratory system is a dead end? That means if dust, smoke, or bacteria reach deep into your lungs, it's very hard to get them out. But don't worry, the airways have their own cleaning system. If you could zoom in on the inside of your trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles, you'd see two special types of cells. Goblet cells produce mucus. This sticky mucus traps harmful substances like dust and bacteria. Ciliated cells have tiny hair-like structures called cilia that gently sweep the mucus upward, away from the alveoli and toward the throat. Once it reaches the throat, the mucus is swallowed, and any trapped pathogens are destroyed by stomach acid. All right, let's take a closer look at one of the most important parts of the lungs, the alveolus. An alveolus is a tiny air sac inside the lungs where gas exchange takes place. Each one is surrounded by a large network of capillaries, which are tiny blood vessels. There are hundreds of millions of these sacs in the lungs. Together, they provide a huge surface area, big enough to cover half a tennis court if you could spread them all out flat. Because of this large surface area, a lot of gas can diffuse across at once, making the exchange very efficient. The walls of each alveolus are made of just one thin layer of cells, and the same is true for the capillaries surrounding them. Only one red blood cell can pass through these capillaries at a time. This creates a very short diffusion distance, which allows oxygen and carbon dioxide to move in and out quickly. The air in the alveoli comes directly from inhalation, so it contains more oxygen and less carbon dioxide. The blood entering the lungs, having already circulated through the body, is low in oxygen and high in carbon dioxide. This creates a steep concentration gradient. Carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli. Oxygen moves from the alveoli into the blood, where it binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells to be transported around the body. Carbon dioxide is removed from the body during exhalation, while fresh air containing oxygen enters during inhalation. Inside each alveolus is a thin layer of moisture. Oxygen must first dissolve in this moisture before it can diffuse through the alveolar wall, just like how sugar dissolves in water before it mixes in completely. Gases diffuse more efficiently when dissolved in liquid. We are constantly breathing, and our heart is always pumping blood. So, fresh oxygen is always entering the alveoli, and deoxygenated blood is always arriving to collect it. This means gas exchange is happening continuously, without stopping. The air we inhale contains about 21% oxygen and 0.04% carbon dioxide, which is the same as in the atmosphere. The air we exhale contains less oxygen, more carbon dioxide, and is also warmer and saturated with water vapor. Now let's talk about how the body is organized for ventilation, the process of moving air into and out of the lungs. The ribs form a protective cage around the lungs and the heart. They not only protect these vital organs from injury, but also play an important role in breathing. To get air into the lungs, muscle movements are required. Two key muscle groups are involved. The diaphragm, the main muscle used for breathing, is located at the base of the lungs. When it's relaxed, it has a dome-shaped appearance and is made of muscle and fibrous tissue. The intercostal muscles, which are found between the ribs, include the external intercostals and internal intercostals. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts, pulling its central fibrous part downward and flattening out. At the same time, the external intercostal muscles contract, lifting the ribs upward and outward. This increases the volume of the chest cavity, which causes the pressure inside the lungs to drop. As a result, air flows into the lungs from the outside. During exhalation, the external intercostals relax, while the internal intercostals contract, pulling the ribs down and inward. The diaphragm relaxes and returns to its dome shape. This reduces the volume of the chest cavity, which increases the pressure inside the lungs, so air is pushed out. Additionally, the lungs are elastic, like a balloon. This elastic recoil helps push air out during exhalation without much effort. And that's everything you need to know about how the respiratory system works and how gas exchange takes place. If this video helped you understand better, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a bite-sized science lesson from Edutube. Until next time, keep learning, stay curious, and remember, science is simple.